Our panelists are already in studio right now. We want to drill deeper into those topics that, or the stories that we've just run for you, especially that from Mumias as well. And allow me to introduce to you this morning, we have Miguna Miguna with us, who is Nairobi gubernatorial aspirant, candidate, I should say. And we have also with us Joshua Kiptoo. Joshua Kiptoo, he is a tutorial fellow at University of Nairobi, also advocate of the High Court. We have with us also Mithika Linturi, Member of Parliament from Igembe South. Also we have with us Richard Onyonka, who is a Kitutu Chache, Member of Parliament, and Senator Kimani Wamatangi, who is a Senator from Kiambu. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning, Debarl.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right. Thank you for joining us this morning. Right, that particular story from Mumias, the developments within Mumias, people wondering, what did he know? That was a probing question that also we were asking from the intro. Maybe let's just begin with you, Miguna Miguna. That particular story, I don't know, you know, the Mumias, the way it is so embroiled in corruption, there's a lot of things or a lot of stuff that is really happening that has not really come to the fore very clearly over the years. What would be your take?
Well, I've read what appears to be the most reliable story is referencing his complaint earlier that there were people threatening him.
His life was in danger.
His life was in danger. If that source is credible,
yes,
and the threat was coming from the threats were coming from people that had dealings with Mumias Sugar Company, and that wanted some favors, or there were some business deals. That to me would look like a good lead. I thought Ouko was very speculative on the government demanding money from Mumias. The government has just pumped money into Mumias, over 2 billion, to resuscitate it. I think it would be incredulous for a government that is trying to resuscitate a company to demand money from the same company for campaigns. I think that one is just outrightly outlandish allegation. Mumias has been embroiled in a lot of corruption, a lot of sugar. Mumias has lost a lot of sugar to managers, former CEOs, and people who are just milking the state corporation, just like they have milked other state corporations. So in many countries, like the United States, this was a no-brainer in terms of forensic evidence. The people walked into the home or drove into the home. They used firearm. They killed an individual. From the images I have seen, it doesn't look like a very sophisticated environment to be able to retrieve evidence and follow leads. But of course, we are in Kenya, and the police doesn't look like they know what they're doing. And so the media starts speculating, and here we are. But I'm very saddened by this death. This gentleman was a young man. He had a young family. He's a young professional, a young lawyer. And he seemed to have just been going about his business like everybody else, and did not deserve to die.
All right, so we told they made away with electronics and of course also some crucial documents.
I think that's just a cover. That could be a ruse.
You think it's a ruse? Let's hear from Honorable Onyonka.
For me, as Honorable Miguna has said, I think it's something that saddens many of us in this country, that if it is true that this individual was actually targeted because he took a position of refusing to allow individuals to transact in sugar business, where some of them would want the sugar to be imported. If you read the story in the Nation, they say that some traders actually wanted the sugar to be imported, and then it's repackaged in Mumias Sugar packaging, which is part of the big cartel arrangement which has always existed around Mumias. It's very sad. Number two, but I think the government, and indeed the Department of the CID and all the government arms that are responsible in investigating such a crime, have the capacity to investigate. As again, my brother Miguna has said, it's a no-brainer. I think it's possible for the government to know who did he speak to last, whether he met any people, what has been the reason why he was saying that his life was in danger. In the story, you realize he says, the chief of security of Mumias Sugar says that he had actually told him that his life was in danger, and most likely he must have mentioned names and said who are the people putting his life in danger. But I think this is something that should never happen in our country today. But again, these are things that happen because of very selfish interests. Yeah.
So you think this is purely coincidental, that yes, there's a crucial file that he has holding some very important documents, and of course there is also the case of, you know, the repackaging of the sugar, the imported sugar with the Mumias packages and the dying. So is it purely coincidental that it happens, right? Miguna says that, of course, media is really speculating on this. Let's hear from Wamatangi.
Yes, Debarl, let me say good morning to our viewers, and first extend my condolences to the family of the young man, Ronald Lubya. And also follow it by saying that, one, as my colleagues have said, you can see he's a young man. He's definitely to have risen to the level of company secretary of Mumias Sugar. He definitely must be hardworking. He's got a young family. And as I send my condolences, let me say two things. First, Debarl, I want to decry in no uncertain terms the behavior by politicians to want to jump at everything to make and try to get political mileage out of, including a thing as painful as death. And I want to say this, you know, people must realize, especially politicians, that while they play their cards trying to gain political mileage, there is a widow there who is grieving. There is a young son there, or even sons and daughters there who have lost their hope for the future in their father. And I say this in the backdrop. On last week on Saturday, I was a victim of almost the same. I lost one of my very, very diligent and able campaign team managers in a freak accident. Yes. And you know, immediately when the young man slipped trying to board a truck, and he was trying to protect children who were doing a run from coming too close to the truck because they wanted to play with the truck when it's moving. Immediately within seconds, some of the politicians who are out there campaigning and competing with me ran there with their friends and took raw photos of the young man in that state and started sending all over with messages saying, you know, and trying to create political mileage out of such a thing. And, you know, you can imagine the pain it causes people. And that's why I'm saying, you know, a case like this where you find politicians of national standing, instead of first grieving with the family, letting this process take its course, investigations to be carried out, and then you can say concretely, but first condole the family, grieve with them, you know, comfort them. Know that for them the stories about who wins elections or the votes you get or even the sugar you talk about or the possibility, that doesn't matter to those people at this time. What matters to them is the pain of loss of a breadwinner, of a loved one, of a husband, yes, of a father. Mm-hmm. You know, and if we let politics go this way, my friend Debarl and viewers this morning, then we will be doing a big disservice to the core of what a nation is, and that is the family. I mean, we must refuse this and say, when an incident like this happens, the nation, the people, irrespective, and I like what some of my friends here have said. You see, this man said that he had people he suspected were after him. He probably left leads with the authorities. He had already pronounced that his life was in danger. So if we let first the investigations be carried out, facts come out, in the meantime we say to the family, to the wife, pole sana mama, we say to the children, yes, God will be there for you, we condole with you, and then when facts come out, then we can deal with the facts.
Right, if he had actually mentioned that his life was in danger before, right, and we say this is purely coincidental, don't we think then this is...
No, I mean, him having said his life was in danger doesn't mean that it's coincidental. He says that indeed
yes,
there were indicators that he could have had people who were threatening his life, and that's what I'm saying, that then we should we have a whole police force investigating arms, you know, that the CID and so on, they should get onto the job right away and ensure that they comb the place, get the details, and investigations nowadays are so high-tech. You know, as my colleague here was saying, you know, from the phone calls he was having, people he got into contact. I mean, can you imagine the number of mysteries that have been cracked down?
But we talk about high-tech, also forensic experts in this country, but also the glacial slowness that really goes on with the investigation. We've never even had a report of what really happened to Jacob Juma up to today, right? This is another story, just piling up on it. Then it will just taper down or taper off over the years. We'll forget about it, right? If there was actually a clarion call that my life was in danger, should we see it as politically motivated somehow? Or maybe this is the clammy fingers of the cartels? Mithika, Linturi.
Debarl, let me join my brother Wamatangi in saying Pole to his family, and kindly allow you or ask you to allow me to desist completely from commenting on the matter, because I am a believer in tradition. I come from a place whereby you do not discuss the dead before they are buried, and I find it quite very uncomfortable when we are trying to make speculation, when we are trying to speculate on what happened. You know, as he clearly says, this is a time to tell the family, Pole, give them the strength or the courage that is required to bear the loss of their loved one and not play around in games in trying to politicize this day. So please, I may not want to comment on that, but allow me, because you have brought in the issue of Juma, and because Juma is dead and is buried, say that you know, investigations, the course of investigations take time at times, but they cannot inordinately take too long that we cannot really ask questions. I think because we have government agencies as supposed that have the mandate to carry these investigations and have a duty to report to the public, then maybe ask those people charged with these responsibilities to really to pull up their socks, because Kenyans are waiting. Kenyans want to hear exactly what happened, and I believe when they are doing this, they are also not compelled by other interests, but come up with a suspect that they arrive on based on the evidence that they collect, and a prosecution that is that can really sustain in a court of law.
Right. Let's hear from Kiptoo. Good morning.
Good morning. I think my commentary will just sum up what everyone has said. It's too early to speculate, but what should concern us is our inability to always solve such cut-paste murders. That should only be concerned. If we can train our eyes on that inability, that with the reconstructed police service and a functioning DCI, how we've been unable to always solve such clear, straightforward murders beats the purpose. I think that brings into the context the issue of police reforms. What was the idea? Because on such an issue, we wouldn't even give politicians the chance to speak, because by now, the police possibly would have already said, like, you see the way it's supposed to be done. This is the best time to try quickly nab and get all possible evidence and even start giving possible leads. But in the absence of that, it is always, like in Kenya, every time there's such a kind of a death or murder, which either has political or business angle, whether rivalry, whether underhand dealings, whatever it is, now that we've been always unable to come up with clear answers, or even just simple, like we can't close a case. Like Jacob Juma's case was last year, May. That's a year down the line.
Yes.
Nothing has happened. So I don't think possibly this will turn out differently. Maybe now that it's an issue that politicians talk about, possibly it may get attention a bit, but the ability to stay through and get clear investigation that is devoid of such innuendos, that one is a problem. If it should concern us that we are unable to solve and close a file, then in fact, that is a great indictment to our police reforms.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's drill deeper now this conversation to the campaign trail where all of you have been, and we want to hear what is happening down on the ground. We discuss a raft of issues as well. First of all, Miguna Miguna, you dropped your running mate and you've picked another, Karen Wangenyi. What really informed that?
Debarl, this is also another...
It's barely a month.
No, but I think that if you ask a question, you wait for me to answer.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
So don't add any commentaries. Number one, the IBC had unveiled a schedule on when candidates had to pick their running mates. I did so on the 1st of June. That was the date the IBC set for me to unveil my running mate officially. So actually, I've not changed my running mate pursuant to the IBC schedule. But I had announced a young man who failed to meet the requirements of the IBC. As you are aware, candidates are allowed to pick people only who meet the requirements set by law. So if you can't demonstrate that you have a genuine degree, and this genuine degree, a copy of which have to be certified by the university that issued it, if you had a degree from Kenya. So I didn't have that. And this gentleman did not complete the statutory declarations and other forms, including the Section 13 integrity form that was required. So under those circumstances, and then of course, he just showed up on the day of the nomination. He had just mysteriously disappeared for 2 weeks. Under those circumstances, I had to change the running mate. And you see, the problem, and this I come back to the media, the problem of sensationalizing anything around Miguna is unfortunate, because Peter Kenneth, when he ran for the Jubilee nomination, had a woman running mate. He now has a man. That has never been, the question has never been asked by the media. Why did Peter Kenneth change? There are many governors, including Governor Joho, and many governors around the country that have changed their deputies or running mates. It has never been sensationalized. Anything touching on Miguna, you blow it out of proportion as if Miguna's candidature is going to directly influence your ability to conduct your media professionalism. It won't. Only to the extent that Miguna is going to ensure that there is integrity in governance in Nairobi, and Miguna is going to eliminate corruption. So if there are people who have relied on brown envelope journalism in the county of Nairobi and are scared that when Miguna gets into office, it's going to end, then I'm sorry, you should fret very hard. But if you're clean and you're doing your job competently, and you're a professional, and you have nothing to fear, then embrace Miguna, because an injection of clean governance, a transformative agenda, is good for you. Now, lastly, I've unveiled a very dynamic young woman, 29-year-old, a graduate of Catholic University of East Africa, sociology, who has been a senior manager in the private sector, and is also running her own business. This is a good thing. I'm the only one who has embraced a woman and has named a woman as a running mate in the county of Nairobi. And a youth. This was supposed to be a big story on Karen Wangenyi. The media has refused to highlight the biography of Karen Wangenyi, her achievements, and but I'm saying to you, my friend, yes. Let me finish, because you brought it up. The media has completely refused to see positive things that Miguna brings onto the table, that Karen Wangenyi brings onto the table. The media has refused to highlight, if it was the international media, you would be highlighting the integrity issues of my opponents that the EACC has brought forward.
Thank you.
But you're covering it up and trying to highlight Miguna changed his running mate. When did I change my running mate? In so far as unveiling an official running mate to the IBC.
But
I didn't.
Thank you, but we're giving you a sporting chance to actually tell us today, right? So you can just...
No, I did. I told you that on the 1st of June. I told you again on the 2nd of June, but you refused to show it for your viewers.
All right, thank you.
Because it was not in your brown envelope journalism interest.
All right, let's hear from Honorable Mithika Linturi. You've been missing in action. What is happening in Meru?
Meru, we are doing fine. We are busy traversing the county. You know, county of Meru is quite big. It's number 3 in terms of population, in terms of voter strength in this country. And it's not a place where anybody interested in serious support should really run away from. So we've been trying to consolidate our supporters with a view to making sure that we all see things on the same lens and agree on how to cast our vote on the 8th of August. We also cannot forget that our county has serious governance issues and we are in the process of trying to sell our candidate to the voters so that we can really have change in the positions of governor come 8th. And as you are aware, I'm a participant and a serious stakeholder in Meru politics as a leader. I've been there for the last 10 years and also coming from an area that cannot just be wished away, because of the regional dynamics. So we've been trying very keenly to ensure that all is well. We are trying to ensure that our candidates, and when I talk about our candidates, like I am clearly speaking for Jubilee, because I represent Jubilee, I am jubilated, and I am telling the people of Meru, the candidates that we have are the best option from the MCA to the governor.
Thank
you. So that's basically what we've been doing, and you know what happened after nominations. Most of our colleagues are now at home. So it's not easy.
All right, it's not easy, but you'll tell us also, because it seems also the dynamics within Meru politics is truly changing.